This is episode 8 of Standing Out. Standing Out is a remarkable interview style podcast with the intention to highlight women and men making outstanding contributions in their field. I'd like to welcome Leah Skerry as our guest today. Leah is the co-founder and CEO of Eyeread, an educational technology startup that uses artificial intelligence to assess children's reading skills. As a partner of the technology and innovation firm Norex, Leah developed internationally acclaimed web applications. In 2012, she launched Norex's nonprofit innovation project to support amateur athletes in Canada and the US. Leah is a graduate of the Sobey School of Business and NSCAD University. In 2012, 21 Inc. named her one of the 21 leaders in Atlantic Canada. Leah, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Katrina.
Yeah, tell us, your bio is awfully impressive and very interesting. Tell us how you got involved in technology.
Yeah, so it's not just me. I have a lovely team with me. And when I graduated university, I had met a woman named Julia Rivard Dexter, who had worked in technology. And we had looked at working together on a project I was building at the university when I was looking for sponsorship. And so we were connected, and I asked her for sponsorship, and she was really impressed with some of the other things I was doing. And so she asked me to join the company Norex as her managing partner. So I actually joined the company for equity, and I was the managing partner. And my background was really, I had done business, but I had a kind of self-taught designer, web designer, and in games as well. So that was back in 2010 now. So we've, Julia and I worked together for the last almost 6 years now.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's interesting. Did you found Eyeread?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have a background in like child psychology, elementary education, or anything like that? Or how did you come up with this idea to start this company?
Yeah. So as part of the culture at Norex, which is the company that we've been working in, we introduced innovation time like Google and 3M. So 20% of our time we would spend on passion projects or projects that really push the boundaries.
Oh, uh-huh.
And that was the first project that we launched was called Pursue It, and that was a site to support amateur athletes looking to go to the Olympics in Canada and the US. And so we sent, when we first launched, we sent 8 athletes to Sochi, and we've raised over $500,000, and it's all just micro funding and volunteer run. And so we piloted the innovation time. We saw it as a success for projects that could run on their own, and that's where Eyeread came out of, that innovation time. And so we were actually working on eye tracking technology with a local university, and where we're using it to measure usability. But an article had come out stating that literacy rates were declining, and we thought that maybe there was an application for what we were doing. And so we did a pilot and saw that, yes, there is a way to use infrared lights to measure how children read. And so we went for it. I have my background again is in technology. I had spent time in Uganda with women and young girls, and I taught them basic literacy skills. But aside from that, that's my educational background.
Wow. That's so interesting. So Eyeread uses infrared lights and then tracks the eye's movement?
Yeah, so it's the same. The infrared light is the same thing you'd see in like an Xbox Kinect, or like a gaming console. And so it's just a safe way to sort of interact with the user. And we're still developing that technology so that we can work with children primary to grade 2. So we're working at very early years. We want to catch the children that are still learning to read versus reading to learn.
Got it.
Yeah. So that's what it does. It measures when they're playing games. We actually develop a lot of games for the children to play that we assess them with, and we partnered with Florida State University to develop assessments that were very much gamified. That the child doesn't even really know they're being tested,
which is great.
Yeah, it's great. And then the really interesting part is that, there are a lot of tools that assess or teach, but oftentimes the apps can't understand why a child might answer a certain way. So as we continue to develop the eye tracking, we can get really interesting information on how children learn.
Yeah. With having a technology background, did you set out to be an entrepreneur, or is it something that you more or less fell into?
I think I fell into it. Yeah.
That's what most entrepreneurs say. There's rarely the ones that said, this is what I'm going to be.
Yeah.
If you had some sort of like best kept secrets list of websites, books, TED Talks, things like that you would recommend, what would you include and why?
Oh, that's a really good question. What would I recommend? There are a ton of books that I love, and we have a bit of a book club. So I think one of the books that I think is so amazing and talks a lot about our culture is the book Bold by Peter Diamandis. And he's the founder of the X Prize, and Eyeread is one of the teams competing in the Global Learning X Prize.
Oh, okay.
So that's definitely one of the top books I would recommend.
Okay. That's really good. Let's talk about that innovation time that you mentioned. Are you finding that more and more companies are doing that?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of companies are looking to adopt that sort of startup pace and lifestyle. And I think it makes sense because they have to keep up with the companies that are agile enough to develop products at a speed that is almost impossible for a larger organization to keep up with and make a reality. So yeah, I think I've seen a lot of companies look at implementing it, or IDEO's process of sort of design thinking and building empathy for the user is being used quite a bit as well.
That's really interesting. They when you've been involved in innovation time for other companies, were there rules to that? Like, was it because we think of large companies and we think of structure. So was it a structured thing, like every Monday at 10 we're doing innovation time, or was it just over the week you track like what your innovation time was?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And we kind of failed with that a couple times in finding out ways to implement innovation time. And we started with a structure of, okay, well, why don't we try, 1 day a week, which would be 20% time. And that didn't work out. And then we said, okay, well, there's low points. We'll try that. And that did work a little bit better. And we put some structure around what types of projects we wanted to work on that were important to our company values. And so that's been really helpful. But I think, to make an innovation project a success, the case that's worked best for us is normally when it's a small team that can be off-site. So we've gone to different offices, we've worked off-site, and we have a very limited amount of time, almost like a hackathon.
Yeah.
And we get something at the door, even if it's not perfect, and we see what happens.
Those, I think that's so true. Those hackathon style innovation weekends or days. Our team was actually involved in one over the summer. It was called the Posner Poverty Hack, and we were trying to solve some poverty issues worldwide. And our team ended up winning, but I remember looking at that. It was a 48-hour thing. And I mean, for 48 hours, this nonprofit got our undivided attention, and they had, not only did they get funding because we won for them, but then they also they had so much marketing collateral to work from and sample copywriting pieces and things like that. And it was really cool to be able to finish that and just hand someone all of that work. And I don't think that we could have done that on like an hour a day. You really have to be immersed in it, and that be the one thing you're looking at and focusing on.
Yeah, I think it's really fun when you come out of those and you're exhausted and tired, but you have something to show for it.
Totally tired.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I think, sometimes it does just happen naturally if you're in an office with people and you have those conversations. So I think there's value there too, but to really, build something substantial, I think that sort of focused effort is a good way to do it.
Yeah. So speaking of tired, how do you recover from a hard day? Because we know entrepreneurs are busy and every day is so different and there's highs and lows. So what do you do to kind of stay motivated and encouraged and inspired?
Yeah. Well, I often do yoga. That's my go-to. But we're in Halifax, and right across from our office, we're next to a bouldering gym.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And so most of our team will go over there on Fridays, and we'll go for a climb. And we're all at different levels, but it's kind of nice because we're all facing the wall together. It's like a challenge we do together.
Right. That's really awesome.
Yeah.
And your team likes to do it together rather than individually?
Yeah, we like to go together. But if it doesn't work, there's always wine.
Well, good tip. Keep that in mind. On the flip side, what's your favorite part of being an entrepreneur?
I love inventing. I love coming up with new ideas and really understanding the user and their challenges. In this case with Eyeread, we're working with children, and they're just so amazing. Like I find that they're all so quirky in their own way, and you can never predict what they're going to say or how they're going to react. From a technology standpoint, they are the best user testers. They will break the technology faster than anyone I've seen, which is really good. I love
when kids hand you your iPad back and they're like, I don't know how I got here, but fix it. I'm like, well, hold on.
Yeah.
So, yeah. What do you do? Or I guess the better question is, how do you keep up with trends, news, competitors, and just, having a sense of what else is going on outside of what you're doing?
Yeah, that's a good question. I try to use, we have a lot of different apps that we use in-house that help us sort of keep up to date. And then I've started using, this is just to sort of help with time to allow me to do the research. But there's an artificial intelligence called Amy Ingram that I use. And she's a personal scheduler, or the robot is. Which is really awesome and just sort of saving time. So I try to find little hacks like that save me enough time so I can spend 30 minutes or so every day just looking into what's happening.
Wait, so I'm fascinated. I think I need that.
You do?
Amy,
it's awesome.
Artificial intelligence, and she schedules your meetings for you?
She does, yep. So you CC her, and she's just like a personal assistant.
And then she looks at your calendar. She figures out what times you're available based on what you've put in there.
Yeah. So I use we're on everything is Google Apps for us.
Okay.
And so she'll connect to, I think, different calendars, but you put which times you're available throughout the day, and she'll connect to your calendar and then book you for your meetings, and you specify the amount of time you have. So it's all very seamless.
Wow, that's fascinating. Tell us more. What other hacks do you have?
Yeah, that's my newest and my most favorite one.
That sounds fun.
There are two more I'll tell you about. There's another AI, and so we work in that space. So I spend quite a bit of time looking into it. And this AI is called Charlie.
I love that they have real people names.
I know. Yeah. It's really, I have a whole team of them now. Yeah. And so Charlie will actually send an update about the person that you're meeting with before you meet with them. So I'll read you yours because Charlie sent me an update about.
Oh, I'm afraid.
So, and it's only picking up on things that you've put out there.
Okay.
So don't worry too much.
Okay.
Charlie recommends a way to start a conversation. Charlie says, bring up a passion of theirs to make them smile. Looks like you're both into entrepreneurship and films. Katrina also keeps up with cooking, travel, and advertising and marketing, and then has links to articles that you've shared.
Wow.
And then where you are.
You know what? And with being in the social media space, we're constantly talking about building authentic relationships and not just saying like, hey, I have this service, you might need it, let's connect. But that's really fascinating. And what a good little shortcut just to be able to peek in and like see what you have in common and what a good conversation topic would be. That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's really, it's fun. And then for just keeping up with the news, I use Google Alerts. I find that's really helpful.
Yeah. We like to use those too, just to see what's going on based on some keywords out there. That's good.
Yeah.
What do you think, whether it was early on or maybe even more recently, what's a sort of rookie mistake you have made that you'd be willing to share with the listeners?
Oh, so many. I feel like I'm still making them. I think one that, I've heard it again, but I really believe that people are the most important part of a company. And I think developing culture and what that culture means to you is really important. I've been in the situation that the mistake that I've made is maybe hiring too fast and feeling the pressure to need to fulfill that role. Mm-hmm. And maybe they weren't a perfect fit for the culture that we had. And oftentimes, we're a startup and we're pushing innovation. So that's what was really important for us. And making a hire without really having that person on board is probably one of the rookie mistakes that I continue to make. And
I can understand that pressure because you're wanting to grow fast and you're getting this momentum and you need people to help fulfill that. And so I get the pressure, and we keep hearing that too on our end is, what is that? That saying is so old, the hire slow, fire fast.
Exactly.
That saying goes, and it's so hard to actually live it and do that, as you're growing.
Yeah, it is. So that's one that it could be a constant reminder for me to make sure that we have really great people and take the time to make sure that they're a good fit.
What do you think about the startup community as far as women are involved? I've been seeing so much press and coverage about getting more women involved in entrepreneurship and in venture-backed startup companies. What are you seeing out there? Are you seeing that shift, and are you seeing more women in your space, or what do you think?
Yeah, I feel like I've been really focused within our startup, and we're within education technology. And I find because it's often teachers that there might be more females in this space than others. So I don't know if it's a result of that or there really is a shift in more females entering sort of startup community. But I have noticed a big sort of push toward encouraging women entrepreneurs. We were at the Web Summit in Dublin. That was last month in November, and they offered, I think, 10,000 tickets to women for free to join the conference.
Wow.
And that was used as a way to encourage women to be a part of the conversation. So I think there is a big push to make it happen, and we'll start to see more and more of that.
Yeah, I think so too. On that note, as we wrap up, my final question for you is, what do you think will be the hot topic or trend that everyone would be talking about a year from now?
Oh, that's a good one. Well, I saw Ray Kurzweil speak, who, was really one of the I think he predicted the internet, and he wrote an essay when he was, on the about sort of how a brain works from a modular perspective. And he's just fascinating to listen to. And he talked a lot about how we're able to now 3D print physical body parts, and potentially prolong life. And I think he said something, this might not be the right amount of years, but he said if you can survive, I believe it was the next 34 years, there's a good chance you can live forever. So I think we'll start to see a lot in sort of that life sciences space.
Wow. That biotech life sciences. I have heard so much about how 3D printing is changing the whole bionic process. And I actually was just at an event with a client last week in Las Vegas, and we got to hear this man speak who did a ton of work on creating these different prosthetic body parts as a result of that. And it's very cool and fascinating.
Yeah. So I think that'll be a really interesting space. And then I hope for us that we see more and more gains in literacy and definitely in individualized and autonomous learning. Absolutely, there will be more in that space for sure.
That's really great, especially with the strides we need to make in education in our country. I love that there's so much work going into that autonomous learning so that children can be where they personally need to be, you know. That is perfect. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate your time and love talking to you.
Yeah, it's nice to speak with you too.
Thank you.
Thanks, Patricia.